Hello and welcome. My name is Ayaloo. I'm the founder of Hot Power Yoga, and together with me today is Craig Norris, one of our senior teachers. So we're going to go through a very short tutorial on how to work through your Chaturangas, your high planks to low planks, because this can sometimes be a problem area for our students, and a lot of times you just place a lot of tension in your shoulders, which doesn't necessarily need to be there. So let's look at ways that we can make this posture much more easeful. Before we get into the posture, one of the things that I'd like to start off with is that you want to maintain as much of a sense of tadasana in your upper body. So that posture where we're standing up, but here you just a different relationship to gravity, where you're more horizontal. So starting, you want to have your shoulders back, draw the shoulders down, and actually squeezing in between the shoulder blades and your armpit, really just squeezing in and drawing down. So as you're squeezing those muscles there, you want to bring yourself down to about from high plank in your tadasana with your arms raised, for example, bending the elbows and having your elbows below your chest or your chest above your elbows, right about that. If it is too much, then you can just drop your knees. So let's look at that and what it looks like. Craig's just going to demo to us. So coming into high plank. So things with high plank that you want to look at, always start with the base of the posture. So your hands and your feet, and then starting to really activate. So he's pressing down through his hands with the shoulder blades. Start by just puffing up here in between the shoulder blades, and then now soften in between the shoulder blades so you're a bit more resting into your arm bones here and breathing into this space in between the shoulder blades. A lot of times we'll see people just sagging down in the hips or sticking their bum up to the sky like that, assuming that is high plank, but really it isn't. You want to be as flat as a plank as much as you can. Let your tailbone lengthen back, the belly is pulled in, and the thighs are active, pressing back into the legs. So really pressing back through your heels into where I've got my palms here. And if you really press back, you may find yourself getting light, and light enough that you can lift, like Craig has got it here, assuming you've got hands at your heels. Another variation is to have a block in between your thighs. So squeezing the block in between the thighs just becomes another anchor for your brain just to connect down into your thighs. Once again, as you're squeezing the block, the thighs are rotated into an internal rotation. It starts to open up around the sacrum here, and pressing back through the heels gets you really light in the posture. Pressing back through the legs helps also draw in and pull through the belly, so you're really light in the posture and you can hover forwards. Bend the elbows, hover forwards and down, so the tailbone curls back, the belly is pulled in, and the chest is forward, really squeezing in here in between the shoulder blades, and rest for a breath. So that was quite intense. I'm just giving you a little break. So you just want to have held just above the elbows there. You can come back into low plank. This time with the knees down to the floor. So low plank, he's actually got his chest quite high, and he's really squeezing here in between his arm, in his armpits and the shoulder blade. His shoulders are rolled back, belly is pulled in and tailbone back. He's squeezing at the block and his feet are active. Coming back into high plank with knees to the floor, so hips are up. Good. And then once again, you can do it with knees down from the heart, leading from the heart forwards into low plank. Good, and then resting down to the floor. So it can be quite intense working with the transitions in slow motion. So if that's you, then always feel free to drop your knees down to the floor. A lot of times, students will come straight down and plop down to the floor where Craig is, and that is not low plank. If you need to be closer to the floor, then actually start to work with your knees down to the floor first and really drawing in your belly, really starting to work around your shoulders and active in your feet rather than just plopping down. Otherwise, you may start to go into just actually the angle that he is in right now. If you're down to the floor, it's going to go into the front of your rotator cuffs, and most likely over time it's just going to get, over repetition, you're going to get into an injury in your rotator cuffs. So it's a good idea just to have that angle where we were working with. So coming back into high plank, once again, with the knees straight. He's pressing his legs back, the belly's drawn in, length right through the tailbone, and then slight softening in between the shoulder blades. And he's going to lead forward from his chest, bend the elbows, and the elbows are just below the chest. And he's really starting to draw in his belly, curl the tailbone, and squeeze the block here. From here, he's going to lead up into upward facing dog. So that's really where you want to come from, high plank, low plank, and your transition into upward facing dog. So hopefully that was useful for you and that you can really apply those principles in your practice of high plank to low plank and transitioning up into upward facing dog. Enjoy your practice. Look forward to seeing you soon on the mat.